Great. So I feel really lucky to be here, and I feel lucky for a variety of reasons, one of which is there's electricity in this room. Pause for a moment to think about what's being powered right now. We have the lights, we have the camera, we have the projector. You probably all have phones in your pockets or in your bags. Does anybody know how many people on this lovely planet of ours do not have electricity? 40%? 20%? He was just citing the Millennium Development Goals. I mean, he has like deep background in this. Yeah, so 1 in 5 people, 1.2 billion people have no access to electricity. And that's a problem for a variety of reasons. It's really economic driver. It's also a quality of life driver. It impacts things like education and health. And it touches on all of the different goals that we can think about for ourselves as individuals and for a nation and for a global community. So 1.2 billion people. It's one of the numbers that I'm hoping you guys will remember. And 1 in 5 people. It's a lot of folks. People living without electricity oftentimes actually spend a lot of money on energy equivalents. And this is the state of living in energy poverty. It's when you have low access to high quality electricity, and thus you spend a lot of your meager resources oftentimes to get to things like kerosene and candles, maybe third-party phone charging, which is a thing. A lot of people have cell phones now, but they don't have access to electricity, which leads them to spend a lot of money paying people to charge their phones. Do you guys know about how much you spend when you charge your phone at night? Plug it in. Guesses? Good. This is a very informed crowd. Less than a penny is definitely the answer for this crowd. We have electricity. We have a lot of outlets wherever we are. It's very accessible, and it's very, very cheap. I work in Haiti. I work for EarthSpark International. We're a nonprofit that builds community energy infrastructure. And we see our customers before we put up grids that are spending about 25 US cents to charge their cell phones. So people are making about $2 a day on average, and they're spending 25 US cents every time they want to charge their phone. So think about what less than a penny and what the US income on average is. And you see that difference as sort of the definition of energy poverty. So what we're doing is, Elaine's going to talk about leapfrogging. We like to think about what we're doing as leapfrogging. So we build town-sized solar-powered smart grids. And I like to needle my friends who work in the U.S. energy scene, saying it's actually easier to build a town-sized solar-powered smart grid in rural Haiti than it is here in Washington, D.C. And the reason for that is there's no incumbent infrastructure. So, it's always very hard to change something that has a very strong status quo. So we have the luxury of building systems from scratch. So we get to think about what the best model is from a technology perspective, from a business model perspective, and we get to go build that. So we currently have one very nice town-sized solar-powered smart grid in rural Haiti. We're working on the next 20. Unfortunately, this grid was in the eye of the storm for Hurricane Matthew. So about 40% of the solar panels that you see here got blown away. But this is, this is a 50-year storm, and it came right onto us in year 1.5 of operation.
It landed in less than place.
Yeah, it was in the news. Everybody was talking about Hurricane Matthew making landfall in this town. The good news, though, is that we thought that the entire town had been washed out to sea, and all of our friends and customers were dead. So when we lost 40% of our solar panels, we were like, hooray, everybody's alive. So it's okay. And this is part of the we call it de-risking by doing. I like that risk has been sort of spoken on, I think, every single one of these talks so far. We have different risks in Haiti. We're sort of working in a legal and regulatory environment that is very sort of new to the off-taker space. And it's actually helpful to be even remote in Haiti because we're not trying to connect to the national grid. We're building microgrids. And I wanted to pick up on sort of the concept of microgrids. And Amory Lovins, a fellow who works in this space, has this phrase, netted islandable microgrids, talking about the future of an electricity sector where you do have these different microgrids and they can be netted, meaning that they can share energy, they can share resources, and they can be islandable, meaning that they can stand on their own. If there's a power outage in the broader grid, they can stand alone. So from this perspective, we're really working sort of on two sides of the same circle. When we're working on building the nodes in rural Haiti, in the places that don't have any electricity, in a way that can ultimately have a net and can be connected. And here we have a really incredible net. We have an amazing electricity grid, and folks are working on building the nodes. But I like to think that what we're doing, and we, again, get to build smart grids that are powered by, this grid has a diesel backup, but 98% of the energy that's delivered is solar-powered energy. So it's deeply clean, deeply efficient, and smart. So I like to think that the models that we're building can also sort of leapfrog and do some south-to-north technology transfer in ways that are not necessarily possible to sort of prove out very quickly in a place with a strong status quo. Thank you.
Thank you.